So, folks, the drive of a narcissist is about filling a void that can never be filled. And they chase their tails because they go about their lives and they never reach this conclusion. The average person who's suffering, who has this mental thing, most of you guys, dysfunction, we see this play out in different ways in how you think and reason, right? Hey, great one. In every way that you do things, folks, in your interactions. When you think about bigger humanity, right? You talk about this space travel and you have all of these grand ideas about going out somewhere. Why you should be out there, right? When you haven't properly fixed that dysfunctional thing inside of you. Now, I want you to think about reason for a minute and think about how it doesn't really make logical sense if you lived in a home and you were squatting in a home and you had shit everywhere and, crap on the floor and, newspapers and things piled all about the house and the house was stuffy and stinky. And you had a little money in your pocket, but this is how you live, because inside, this is who you were. You embodied this filth. You see what I'm saying? So you go out here with this money you have, this material stuff, these trinkets that you put on your funk, the cologne you put on your funky bodies. And you go out here and you air that funk out. You try to buy and acquire things. So imagine getting a home, or imagine buying a Rolls Royce. The highest valued car you could imagine. Imagine having that car pulled outside in the driveway of a home that has crap on the floor and, feces everywhere and everything. Like a hoarder home or something. Typical dysfunctional person. So when you watch these people on Hoarders or some of these shows, and you ooh and ah and you get disgusted, but you keep coming back like a train wreck because something's going on here. Why are you showing up to see this tragedy if you're not willing to fix the tragedy? See, this is how we disservice each other, folks, when I talk about self-centered behavior. It's the centering, right? You don't look at things on a bigger level, and this is why you fall short. So how is this relative to general social interaction? Well, you reason that you have a right to be the way you want. Some of you are messed up. And we understand that you're messed up because you are really actually. And that's where you get into humility, when you get into the reasoning of compassion and understanding. But because I compassionately understand your condition does not mean I have to allow you to continue with that condition. So the best of us are in a fight, if you will. In a fight with ourselves about holding on and being right and understanding our principles and why we do and think the way we do and what we've seen, versus that person, that opposing force, like I always talk about, this energy, who wants to live in self-gratification, right? So when you think about how does that play out in society, it always comes down to person, right? If you're a vampire, what do you want to eat? Yeah, you could find your jollies messing with other things. You could hurt animals. You can do certain things. And these narcs, by the way, they do those things too, because they started out in stages. Many of them started out with these animals, right? So, it's a lot of craziness when you think about the average person and the narcissist. Hold on, folks. Let me get this stuff together. Yeah. When you think about why you want to hurt another person, because that's what I like to focus on. I like to take it to a level where you reason, because it's about you, right? And what you want to do and not do. Selfishness. So this plays out in personal relationships, because I know I'm starting to, I got so much on my mind. But, personal relationships, siblings and stuff. Some of you have these. I've done videos about family issues and stuff. You're not speaking to your family members or your loved ones for various reasons. Some of them trivial, some of them are necessary. And in those situations, you took a stand and you reasoned something. See, this is where we go into this, right? Who you wanted to be. See, I keep saying this. I said this in the beginning, but maybe it missed y'all, so I'm going to go back. Who you want to be, who you are, right? Versus who that person wants to be. So if they're a vampire, if they're an energy vampire and they're soul intent, right? Their sole purpose and drive is to extract something from another person, then they're dangerous to us. Especially those of us who can become culpable, naive. And we want to take culpability is what I'm saying for the things they do to us. Those are the people who feel the pain and think it's their fault for the pain. You get it? So in relationships, we don't see this narcissist. This is the important thing that I want to talk about today. The narcissist. The various ways that the covert narcissist operates. And many of you are left in situations where you finally had that moment where you put all of the things together and you started paying attention. And you're on to something here. And I want you guys, and I commend you guys out there who want to, be that sleuth in your own lives because you're trying to fix something, which is what this is all about. You wanting to be who you are versus that other person and what they want to do in their means and agendas. So when they want to just victimize you by means of, getting something from you. In a lot of cases, if we're talking about low-level humans, you're talking about sexual things. If you're talking about a man and he's predatory, seeking women, he's looking for those broken women that he can, get into their heads, gas and, hoover and manipulate and do all of the psychological things in these processes with dealing with the narcissist. And then when they finally discard that person, they're traumatized. Well, what about situations where you decide to discard the narcissist? And because you've come to a point, like I said, where you've reasoned some things and you've concluded based on facts. Because when you reason with truth, folks, you'll always conclude with these facts and they'll always take you in a better direction. So pay attention. Intuition is a great thing. But listen to what they're saying. You may be, I've had situations like I told you in different, just doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. It could be a friend. We've had those friends, like I've said in previous videos, who will try to sleep with your girlfriend or something. Or your guy if you're a female or something. Your partner. And you have these people, they're doing it because really it's not even about that person they're sleeping with. They do this all the time, folks. They'll sleep with anyone, folks, because it's about a drive. It's about feeding that drive. The sexual thing. It makes them feel good. It's self-serving. See what I mean? So you'll just be caught up in that situation, right? And you have to pay attention to things they're saying. When you meet this person in a relationship, they may tell you things. They are exotic, strange things about what they like and enjoy. And it may just seem like some fetishinal stuff. But when you really go back and look at it in the aftermath, maybe, you discarded them because you saw some things. There were some trust issues. But why didn't you trust? Then when you talk to the narcissist and you reason with them, you'll realize, folks, that they're not willing, like I was talking about, to meet you on some way where both of you guys are accommodated. So you'll find yourself asking pretty reasonable things of the narcissist. If you're in a relationship where you guys live together, maybe you want that person to come home. You know why? Because they asked you to come home. And you were meeting some type of rules or standards y'all set in the house. And you were coming home or something if you're that guy or that girl. And you were doing everything, crossing your T's, dotting your I's in that relationship on a technical level. You know what I mean? But you were doing it because you were trying to accommodate and show that person that you could be trusted. Now, when it comes to the narcissist, when you flip this thing, you'll realize and reason that the narcissist is not willing or was never willing to do these things. It was all about making you believe, folks. You see what I'm saying? Making you believe or mirroring you. Anything that they think or these things or ideals or good morals that you have, they don't have those. And part of being that vampire is taking those attributes from you, right? And it's just about, they always get bored, and that's the point too, because of the way their minds operate, folks. So there's never stability when you're with a narcissist. So when you decide to finally discard them for whatever reason, right? And you'll notice that when you do that, the mask will come off and they will be willing to show you their full persona of who they are without that mask, right? Because it was starting to get boring to them, right? It was about some sex and, something. But whatever they could get for you, whether it was money or resources, in many of these relationships, you have friends like this, We had roommates back in the day, who would live off of us and not pay rent, and we find ourselves 2 or 3 years down the line and this person maybe paid rent like 4 times or something, once a year. And you think about that or something, you like, what type of person would come around me and not reasonably accommodate me as a human in the same space that we're sharing the space, when that person is only seeking to self-serve and justify and get what they want for their own means, folks. You see what I'm saying? This narcissist is that person, that sick person, who's become most of us in society in present day, right? The covert ones, the lowest of those folks, those covert people hide amongst us. Not until you're in a relationship or some really close interpersonal business dealings or something. I've had people, not pay me money back and all types of stuff. And not until you put yourself in a vulnerable situation do you see this. So I recommend, folks, not necessarily trying to rush things in your lives. Because if you're talking about energy, you want to always make sure that the person that you're getting with has the proper vibration. This is important, folks. Remember, the best of you will know that God is real. The best of you will be holding on to God. So it's imperative that you have someone in your life who shares the same values or who is seeking or thirsting in the same fashion. Otherwise, it's fruitless. And you'll find that person doing these self-serving things, and eventually you'll catch them in some infidelous act or something. And that's how these things always conclude, folks. They're like children. Name a 6-year-old when you were in kindergarten. Name the relationships you had in your class with little kids and that lasted. Friendships, if you had a little, boyfriend, girlfriend thing. I think we used to do that in kindergarten for the day on the swings or something. I'm your boyfriend, right? And we would do stuff like that. And you bring the girl, you may give her a piece of your candy at lunch. It's like just little stupid, cutie things, right? But see, the thing about it is, folks, is that I told you in childhood, those formative years, this is where you find the demoniacs. Because they're born into a human vessel just like you are. They're not quite what you are, though. And the best of you are now starting to reason this. It'll keep you out of a world of trouble when you're talking about relationships. I looked at my own life. I was talking to someone today, and, I have a few, situations in my life where there are people, I'm not too close to a lot of folks in my life. And I think about what happened, what series of events occurred in my life that made me stay in this lane and keep going in the way I'm going, which is concluded in us not being as social as we are or something. It was the point that I made I reasoned to myself on some level, folks, what this person was doing to me or taking from me. And that's what many of you have to do when you're talking about emotional vampires. It's one of those things that, it causes people to have the worst types of clinical depression because they haven't quite, they're codependent and all of these low dysfunctional things. You know who you are, folks. If you're holding on to God, you always know who you are. You're always blessed. And you wish the best for anyone, whether they're a narcissist or not. But it's important to pay attention to the covert narcissist. If you guys are meeting in the beginning in a relationship and they're telling you that they fantasize about having multiple partners, You know, in the beginning, that may sound like just something they just said out loud, but it's the truth. You always have to listen, folks. So when you catch them in situations where they cannot stop performing fellatio on other guys, or you women out there who can't stop, you know, ending up in these guys' homes the next morning or something, and your husband is looking for you or whoever. These are situations that happen to many people. And violence occurs. You've seen deaths. You've seen all type of things. So there's dysfunction that has to be fixed when that person is searching for something. Just like those people going out into space, right? You're searching for what? If you have shit in your backyard, folks, why are you looking to buy or seek out another backyard? To shit on in that backyard? So this is why I tell you that you're not prepared for higher level things. It's all reasoning and it's all on the same level. Even if you're talking about relationships of narcissistic abuse or any of these things, it's about interpersonal social relationships between human to human. The thing that's plaguing us, the thing that's creating the society that's going to cause the reckoning. Because the Most High, this always concludes with him. He is the beginning and the end, folks. And if you hold on to him, you don't have to worry about these things. You'll be protected. Right? But it's about reasoning with yourself and what you're willing to put up with or what you're not, and what that person is willing to do or not. And if it's not suitable to your life, make moves for your life, folks. You'll find a narcissist wants to drain your time and resources and energy and everything about what they can do. And then they'll discard you or something. On to the next victim. Right? For many reasons, these people have messed up minds. It's not the point of you trying to fix them. Right? There is something higher. God is higher, folks, and he will take care of all of the ills of society. Oh, I love bad behavior. But I love when people love and love more than just on physical levels. Because this is the problem, folks. You've distorted what love really is. And we'll do a follow-up video and I'll explain to you, because I've learned some things from the great one. Love herself. Hello, great one. We'll talk next video. You folks going over to Amazon, pick up my book, I Love Bad Behavior. You can pick it up on my website, thinkbehavior.info. I appreciate the new subscriptions. And, you know, we're going to do this, folks. Whether we're talking about narcissism in relationships, right, or narcissism, whatever. It's something that you got to think about. Pay attention to that next person, folks, right? Don't be so gullible and vulnerable that you need any type of validation. That's the thing I'm trying to get you to see, folks. God, what you need. Y'all take care.